Greetings and salutations, YouTube. This is Fragments of Memory, your friendly neighborhood armchair philosopher. Recently, YouTuber Mumia Obsidian Ali has discussed having some minor financial issues in regards to the production of his blog talk radio shows, his daily podcasts, and YouTube vids. Brother Obsidian, over the course of 3 videos, has discussed the aforementioned situation. Each of those times he has asked for donations to help with the cost of the production of his shows, podcasts, and the like. Obsidian is a podcaster, citizen journalist, and self-proclaimed voice for the everyday brother. According to Obsidian, there is an option for a certain number of brothers to donate $5 a month via Patreon to help with the cost of producing his online programming. Within these 3 vids, he is very abrasive in his delivery towards many of the brothers who partake of the sumptuous feast, yet haven't paid the tab. He claims that there are many brothers who seek his advice, who look to him to be their voice when their own has been suppressed, or look for his commentary on various issues, yet aren't donating to his programming. Many would accuse Mr. Obsidian of merely begging or playing the role of the televangelist who preaches the virtue of giving of your tithes and offerings. I, however, your friendly neighborhood armchair philosopher, see things a bit differently. However you feel about Mr. Obsidian and his views about life, the universe, and everything, positive, negative, or ambivalent, there are a few things to consider. Mr. Obsidian is someone who has a brand, and he is utilizing various online platforms to place that brand in the public sphere. He is providing a viewpoint, one that may not be popular in the mainstream, as well as creating a safe space for men to have their story told, which I think is very important. Many religious, sports programs, and entertainment vehicles come with options to donate to or purchase their programming. Following examples. As a child growing up in the 1980s, I remember that the Disney Channel was initially not a part of the basic cable package. However, 4 times a year, summer, holiday, spring, and fall, the Disney Channel would have a preview week where the channel would come in clear instead of the fuzzy reception I would usually see when we hit channel 21. That was the Disney Channel number with our particular cable company. During this particular preview week, let me add, it was a membership drive to get others to subscribe, and they'd have a 1-800 number at the bottom of the screen. PBS, you might know them as the public broadcast station, home to Sesame Street, Barney, or whatever other wonderful children's program is on there, would also have membership drives, and they offer certain items or collections or whatever to get you to donate to the network. Mumia Obsidian Ali is no different. Many adherents of various religions and denominations often donate to their church, mosque, synagogue, temple, or ministry of their particular choosing. Now, Larry Winget, the pit bull of personal development, he wrote a book called Shut Up, Stop Whining, and Get a Life. And in the book, one of the things he said was he could tell what you believed in by what you spent your money on. So if you spent your money on something that was not good for you, you still believed in it enough to buy it. You have band, drama, or choir boosters in high school. As a matter of fact, being a member of both the choir and band, I too had boosters. I had boosters in the band and in the choir and such, which would raise money to put on plays, to get uniforms and things like that. Even the Renaissance period of history was funded by patrons. Now, if he is speaking to you or serving as some sort of advocate for you, it may be helpful to contribute. He recently did a blog talk radio show called Why Are Black Men So Apathetic? I wasn't able to see the show as I was at work, but the title jumped out at me. It got me thinking, 1, are black men apathetic? I would respond with yes, on a collective level. I would say that black men suffer from apathy, complacency, and inaction. We live in the era of IDGAF. I don't give a flip, or you know what the other one is. In this day and age, it seems cool not to care, because the mentality seems to be he who cares loses. And then he asked the question, why are black men apathetic? Well, I'm going to give you my own view as to why black men are apathetic. We all, regardless of race, but especially black men, we love ease and comfort and don't want to struggle. It is easier to buy a blunt or a beer than it is to build and maintain a structure. And the reason I'm mentioning blunt and beer is because in the video where Mr. Obsidian goes off on the brothers, he says you have brothers from where he's from, which is in Philadelphia, where he talked about how many of the brothers, you go to the stores run by the Asian community and you see all sorts of blunt papers just being sold. So it's easier to go to the liquor store with the Middle Easterner or buy the blunt paper from the Asian guy and then go out here and try to build something. There is also a fear of loss. What if I put my time, energy, and money into the thing and it fails? Will I be able to recover? So I think there is a little bit of fear in that. There is a belief in a lack of opportunity in the black community. Due to us not having the opportunities, or the belief that the opportunities don't exist for us, we collectively feel defeated to the point where we say, why try? We want the maximum amount of effort or benefit using the minimum amount of effort. There still exists systemic and structural racism that may contribute to the lack of opportunity. That's a whole other thing. Now, the reason I was looking was because someone was walking by and I was making this vid, of course. Internal racism does exist as well. There's still the belief that anything black is inferior, substandard, dirty, stinky, and in some cases demonic, not to mention unprofessional. While conversely, white is associated with purity, professionalism, wealth, morality, and the like. And then, of course, with all that, there's that the white man's ice is always colder. And many older people in my life told me about that. These things are a perfect storm for a black man's apathy. We associate black with poverty. In our minds, being black is having a seat on the Hindenburg a moment before it blows up. We collectively feel so defeated that we have a why bother mentality. We mistrust one another. We have been hustled, swindled, and led astray by persons who look like us. The preacher, the businessman in the so-called inner city ghettos, our politicians, etc. Since we are not members of this society's majority group, nor are we its movers, shakers, or policymakers, we have an inferiority complex. The men and women who dictate policy, craft legislation, and sign bills into law aren't affected by them. I speak on this subject not as someone who is trying to get you to support Mr. Obsidian or someone who is telling you to not support him. That is a matter entirely up to you. I speak as a black man who is guilty of apathy, complacency, and inaction. The motivational speaker Iyanla Vanzant once wrote in her book, One Day My Soul Opened Up, silence is a choice to not choose. She would also go on to say, if we do not choose, we live by default. I'm also reminded of the novel This Present Darkness by Christian novelist Frank E. Peretti, in which a council of demons met in a small town. Amongst them was a tiny demon named Complacency. A larger demon asked what was so useful about him. He didn't see him as useful as lust or wrath. Complacency merely replied, I cause men to sleep. I think this mentality is a major factor in why the so-called black man is at the bottom in the US of A. We would rather sleep and let the rest of the world move on than wake up and have to create solutions. And I speak this as myself, to myself, as I'm saying it to you. So that's my 2 cents on the subject. Peace.